Close your eyes and imagine the deepest quiet you have ever known. A silence so wide, so endless, that you can feel it spreading around you like a soft blanket. You are drifting slowly, weightlessly, through a calm and peaceful universe. No sound, no wind, only the gentle darkness of space, stretching infinitely in every direction. In this silence, a warm glow begins to appear, faint at first, like a candle in the distance, then slowly growing brighter and softer, never harsh, never overwhelming. This glow is not a planet, nor a moon, nor a drifting cloud of cosmic dust. This is something older, stronger, and more constant than anything else in our solar system. You are approaching the sun, not the fierce burning star you may imagine from pictures and textbooks, but a distant calming sphere of warm golden light, glowing softly in the velvet darkness. Take a slow breath and let the gentle warmth of the sun fill your mind. Tonight, your journey begins in the heart of the solar system. For billions of years, this glowing sphere has breathed light into the darkness. Its gentle radiation shapes worlds, warms distant planets, and guides the rhythm of entire solar systems. It is the point around which everything else moves, the oldest presence in our celestial neighborhood, the anchor of all orbits, the silent conductor of cosmic motion. Only one object in our system shines by its own light. Only one turns hydrogen into warmth, and warmth into the possibility of life. You already know its name, but let us say it softly, as if speaking to an old friend. The sun. Deep inside the sun, far beneath the glowing surface we see from Earth, lies a region of unimaginable stillness. Not chaotic fire, not violent eruptions, but a steady and delicate balance. The core of the sun is a place where pressure exceeds imagination, where temperature rises gently beyond millions of degrees, where every moment, quietly and rhythmically, hydrogen atoms drift together, merge, and release tiny pulses of energy. Fusion, a word so strong, yet here, in the heart of this star, it feels like the slow heartbeat of a sleeping giant. Each pulse of energy begins a long and patient journey toward the surface. It moves, inch by inch, slowly through dense layers of plasma, taking tens of thousands of years to escape the sun's interior. Imagine that. The sunlight touching your skin today may have been born before humanity even existed, and but still, it arrives gently, warm, soft, life-giving. Now imagine rising upward, slowly, toward the sun's surface. You do not feel heat. You do not feel danger. You only see light moving in quiet waves. The surface of the sun, called the photosphere, is not solid. It is a shifting ocean of glowing gas. Bright cells rise from below, cool slightly, and sink again, like gentle waves in a golden sea. Even sunspots, dark circular shapes, appear and fade as calmly as clouds drifting across a warm horizon. From afar, the entire surface seems to breathe, expand, contract in a slow rhythm that becomes almost hypnotic. Above the surface, a faint halo stretches outward, the sun's corona. It is delicate, almost ghost-like, a pale white glow extending millions of kilometers into space. It whispers through the darkness, shimmering in thin waves of charged particles. Sometimes, streams of light ripple outward like silk in a gentle wind. These are the solar winds, but from this calm perspective, they appear peaceful, a soft breath that fills the solar system with a warm, constant flow of energy. The sun is immense, so large that more than 1 million Earths could fit inside it. Yet, when viewed from where we float now, it feels gentle, calm, almost fragile. From Earth, the sun sits about 150 million kilometers away, a distance so vast that light itself needs 8 quiet minutes to reach us. And yet, despite this unimaginable distance, you feel its warmth every day. Its light shapes seasons, guides the growth of plants, warms oceans, and paints the sky in colors of sunrise and dusk. The sun is far from us, and yet, in every way that matters, it feels close. And now, we turn our gaze toward the first world that circles this star. A small, quiet planet, scorched by the sun's closeness, locked in a delicate dance between freezing nights and blazing daylight. A world without air, without sound, without warmth of its own. A world so ancient that its surface still holds the scars of impacts from the early days of our solar system. This world is waiting, silent, still. Its name will come soon enough. For now, let the sun dim slowly behind you as you drift outward toward the first stop on our celestial journey. As you drift slowly away from the sun's warm glow, one tiny world begins to appear. A small, pale sphere, moving silently through the darkness. From a distance, it almost looks like a wandering stone, a lonely traveler, circling endlessly around the star that dominates its sky. This little world is ancient, older than mountains on Earth, older than the oceans. Its surface has barely changed, preserving the scars of its violent youth like a forgotten relic. It is a world with no air to breathe, no wind to shape its land, no clouds to cover its wounds, only stillness, dryness, endless silence. And long before you know its name, you can feel its nature. Hot enough to melt metal during the day, cold enough to freeze steel during the night. A place of extremes, yet quiet, calm, and unchanging. This ancient, lonely world is Mercury. Mercury is the closest planet to the Sun. It orbits only 58 million kilometers from the solar surface, a distance so small that the Sun appears 3 times larger in its sky than it does from Earth. Because of this closeness, Mercury is exposed to enormous amounts of sunlight. But without an atmosphere to hold the heat, its warmth escapes instantly and slips into the cold void of space. This creates a world of extremes. Daytime temperatures rise to over 430 degrees Celsius, hot enough to soften lead. But when night falls, a night that lasts weeks, temperatures drop to minus 180 degrees. Mercury is a world divided, half scorched by the sun's relentless light, half frozen in silent darkness. Yet even here, in this harsh environment, there is a strange sense of peace. There are no storms, no winds, no crashing waves, only a still, ancient, unmoving surface bathed in the flickering light of a giant star. As you descend slowly toward the planet's surface, you enter a world frozen in time. Nothing moves, nothing shifts. There is no sound, not even the faint whisper of wind. As you descend slowly toward the planet's surface, you enter a world frozen in time. Nothing moves, nothing shifts. There is no sound, not even the faint whisper of wind. The ground is covered in craters of every shape and size, some as small as a pebble, others so large that entire countries could fit inside them. These scars are ancient, created over billions of years by asteroids and dust left over from the birth of the solar system. And because Mercury has no atmosphere, no weather, no rain, no erosion, every crater remains perfectly preserved, as if it were carved only moments ago. You are looking at the solar system's memory, a map of impacts that stretches back to a time when Earth was still a young, molten world. Even the sunlight feels different here. It is not filtered through air, not scattered by clouds, but arrives sharp and direct, yet softened in your mind as a warm, soothing presence. The sun dominates everything here. Its gravity pulls on Mercury with great strength, slowing its rotation and stretching its orbit into a long oval shape. Because of this, Mercury spins very slowly, so slowly that a single day on Mercury lasts 176 Earth days. Imagine a sunrise that takes weeks to climb across the horizon. Imagine a sunset that sinks slowly, as if time itself is falling asleep. The sunlight here is intense, but in our calming vision, it becomes a gentle glow, a soft golden haze settling across the cratered plains. Mercury is also heavily shaped by the solar wind, a steady stream of particles flowing from the sun. But even this, in our peaceful journey, feels more like a soft breath than a powerful force, as a warm, soothing presence. Despite being neighbors in the solar system, Mercury does not often come close to Earth. At its nearest, the planet sits about 77 million kilometers away. At its farthest, more than 220 million kilometers separate us. This distance adds to the planet's loneliness. No moon keeps it company. No rings circle around it. No atmosphere wraps it in comfort. Mercury is a solitary wanderer, a quiet, gray stone floating close to a giant, luminous star. And yet, in its stillness, there is beauty. A beauty found in simplicity, in silence, in untouched landscapes, bathed in the steady glow of ancient light. And now, as you rise gently above the cratered surface and drift back into the cold, silent dark, Mercury begins to shrink beneath you. The sun remains bright behind it, a warm presence, a guiding star that pulls every planet into its ancient rhythm. Ahead of you lies a world veiled in clouds, a world glowing softly in shades of pale gold and ivory, a planet of mystery, a planet of heat, a planet whose thick atmosphere hides its surface from the universe. Venus. And so, our journey continues. As you drift away from Mercury and its silent cratered surface, you enter a region of space filled with a gentle, glowing haze. It appears slowly, as if the darkness itself begins to soften, as though a warm breath moves across the void. At first, It feels like nothing more than a faint shimmer, a whisper of pale gold suspended in the black. But the closer you get, the stronger the glow becomes, expanding, thickening, swirling softly like distant fog. You approach a world wrapped completely in cloud. Not thin, wandering clouds like those of Earth, but vast, endless layers, a continuous blanket of swirling mist that hides everything beneath it. There are no mountains visible from afar, no valleys, no seas, no markings to hint at the surface below. Only a luminous veil, smooth, pale, and mysterious. In this haze, light behaves differently. It bends, scatters, diffuses in warm tones of ivory, cream, and gold. The whole planet seems to glow gently, as if lit from within. And as you watch the clouds move, smooth, slow, mesmerizing, you begin to sense the nature of this place. It is secretive, closed, guarded, a world that reveals only its outline, never its true face. A world that invites you to look closer, yet keeps its heart hidden. Only at the end do you understand. This quiet, glowing sphere, this planet of veiled skies and eternal storms, is Venus. As you drift closer, the glowing sphere expands before you. Its pale yellow and honey-colored clouds forming a smooth, seamless dome across the entire planet. Nothing on Venus is sharp. Nothing is defined. Everything is softened, blurred, as if wrapped in layers of silk. The clouds thicken as you approach, towering higher and higher until they seem less like weather and more like an ocean, a churning sea of vapor lifting mountain-high waves in slow motion. These clouds are not gentle. They hide a world of extreme heat and pressure, a world where sunlight cannot break through, where the surface is locked in eternal twilight. And yet, from above, they appear calm. They drift in quiet spirals, slow and dreamy, circling the planet like a soft, glowing blanket. You see the upper atmosphere move faster than any earthly wind. Yet in this peaceful vision, it feels serene, like a gentle current of warm air brushing across the sky. Venus reflects sunlight so strongly that it shines even brighter than any other planet, so bright it can cast faint shadows on Earth. And here, so close to it, you feel a strange calm, a sense of floating above a hidden world, one wrapped in beauty and locked in mystery. As you glide along the top of Venus's atmosphere, you begin to feel the immensity of it. This is no ordinary layer of air. It is a colossal ocean of gas, so deep and so heavy that the surface below is crushed under pressures greater than the floor of Earth's oceans. The air is thick, dense enough to bend light in strange ways, dense enough to turn distant horizons into soft golden curves. You drift lower, slowly, carefully, passing through the highest clouds. Here the winds move swiftly, circling the planet in just a few Earth days. But their motion is smooth, flowing like a massive river of warm, glowing mist. The composition of this atmosphere is unlike anything on Earth. Carbon dioxide fills the air, trapping the sun's heat and holding it tight, creating a greenhouse effect so powerful that temperatures rise higher than on Mercury's sunlit surface. Yet in this quiet journey, the heat feels far away, locked deep beneath the clouds, separated from you by miles of soft, swirling vapor. This atmosphere is ancient, a relic from the planet's earliest days, unchanged by oceans or life, unchanged by time. It is a world frozen in its own identity, its own rhythm, its own hidden history. Venus orbits the Sun at a distance of about 108 million kilometers, a perfect position to receive a steady, warm glow of sunlight. From this distance, the Sun appears slightly brighter, slightly larger than from Earth, casting soft, pale gold light across the thick atmosphere. But the clouds trap that warmth, holding the heat in place like a sealed furnace. And so, Venus becomes the hottest world in the solar system, despite being farther from the Sun than Mercury. Here, in this peaceful, drifting journey, you sense the delicate connection between star and planet, how distance shapes a world, how sunlight sculpts its story. Venus completes one orbit every 225 Earth days. Yet it rotates so slowly, so gently, that a single day on Venus lasts longer than its entire year. Sunrise and sunset are rare events here. The sun rises as if through molten glass, its light stretched and softened by thick, swirling clouds. All of Venus moves in a slow, dreamlike rhythm, a world suspended between brightness and shadow, warmth and stillness. The clouds part only slightly as you descend, not enough to reveal the surface directly, but enough to let your imagination fill the unseen world below. Beneath the endless haze lies a landscape unlike any other in the solar system. It is a world shaped by volcanoes, by mountains taller than any on Earth, by vast plains of solidified lava stretching hundreds of miles. But from here, everything looks muted, softened by the dense atmosphere. The surface is dim, permanently wrapped in deep orange twilight, a world where shadows barely form and where light spreads thickly across the rocks and plains. The heat below is immense, hot enough to melt lead. Yet you are separated from it by layers of ancient clouds. The mountains rise like hidden giants under a glowing ceiling of mist, their peaks lost in haze, their valleys buried in warm fog. Nothing stirs, no wind reaches the ground, no sound carries through the dense air. It is a world trapped beneath its own sky, quiet in a way that feels eternal. Although shrouded in clouds, Venus is Earth's nearest planetary neighbor. At its closest, it comes within about 38 million kilometers from us, closer than any other planet ever approaches. From Earth, it shines brightly in the dawn and dusk skies, earning names like the Morning Star and the Evening Star. And here, drifting quietly above its golden atmosphere, you feel the subtle connection between this hidden world and our own. Both planets are nearly the same size, both formed from the same cosmic material. Both began their lives with oceans of molten rock and atmospheres of vapor and gas. Yet their paths diverged. Earth grew mild and balanced, a world of air, oceans, and life. Venus remained sealed in heat and cloaked in storms, its destiny quiet and solitary. Even so, from this peaceful vantage point, the two worlds seem like siblings, one open and blue, the other veiled and golden, separated by clouds, yet connected by origin. Slowly, gently, you rise above the glowing cloud tops of Venus. The golden disk below begins to shrink, its swirling atmosphere fading into a soft point of light. You watch as the veiled planet returns to silence, wrapped once more in the privacy of its own storms. There is something almost dreamlike about leaving it, as if you are awakening from a warm, hazy vision. Ahead of you, another world begins to appear, a world filled with blue oceans, white clouds, and continents shaped by life and time. A world that glows with sunlight reflected off water and ice. A world familiar, yet no less beautiful. The next chapter of your journey is the world you know best, Earth. You approach a world that looks unlike any other you have seen on this journey so far. It does not glow with a metallic shimmer like Mercury, nor does it cradle itself within golden clouds like Venus. Instead, this world appears as a soft swirl of deep blues, gentle whites, muted greens, and warm browns, layered in delicate patterns. It feels alive, even before you know its name. From distance, it shines with a calm pulse, almost like a heartbeat. There is motion everywhere, vast bands of clouds drifting slowly, continents resting like ancient guardians, and oceans reflecting a quiet glow from the sun. You sense immediately that this is not a silent world. It breathes, it moves, it carries warmth and cold, storms and stillness, light and shadow, all at once. And yet, it welcomes you. There is no hostility in its colors, no sharp edges, no hidden veil like Venus. Instead, there is a softness, a serenity, a sense that here, gentle chaos becomes harmony. This world sits roughly 150 million kilometers from the sun, just far enough to avoid burning, just close enough to avoid freezing. This delicate balance forms a cradle of life, a place where water can flow, air can swirl, and temperatures dance between warmth and cold. The sun shapes it gently, neither dominating nor abandoning it. And this balance makes the planet unique among its neighbors. Only now, as its beauty fills your vision, you let its name surface in your mind. Earth, the pale blue world, the home of oceans, continents, storms, and life. As you drift closer, the faint glow of its atmosphere embraces you, a thin, fragile shell, yet strong enough to protect everything beneath it. It is a shield, a blanket, and a silent guardian. You are entering a world unlike any other, a world familiar, yet still full of mysteries waiting quietly behind every cloud. As you glide closer to Earth, the first thing that greets you is its atmosphere, a delicate, shimmering veil that glows softly under sunlight. From space, it appears as a thin band of pale blue light, but within that band lies the structure that protects the entire world. The uppermost layer feels silent and weightless, stretching into space like a fading watercolor. Below it, temperatures rise and fall. Currents shift, winds curl and unwind, forming an ever-changing dance of invisible patterns. This thin shell controls everything: the warmth that reaches the ground, the storms that travel across oceans, the colors of the sky at dawn and dusk. The atmosphere is composed mostly of nitrogen and oxygen, gentle companions that make breathing possible for countless life forms. Trace gases float between them: carbon dioxide, argon, water vapor, each playing its own subtle role in shaping weather, temperature, and the cycle of seasons. As sunlight touches the top of the atmosphere, it scatters into shades of blue. This is why Earth appears so uniquely colored. No other planet in the solar system displays such softness, such serenity. Clouds drift across the sky in endless shapes. Some form long, thin streaks stretching for hundreds of kilometers. Others gather into massive spirals, creating storms whose power can be felt across entire oceans. And yet even these storms are part of Earth's balance. They move heat, water, and energy from one place to another, maintaining stability. As you descend slightly, you feel the comforting thickness of the air, the pressure increasing gently, like being wrapped in a warm blanket. This world, unlike the others, invites you inward, rather than pushing you away. The atmosphere is Earth's shield, its breath, its memory of sunlight, and you are floating through its quiet embrace. They cover more than 2/3 of the Earth's surface, forming vast stretches of blue that look smooth and still from space. But as you drift lower, the oceans reveal their depth and motion. Gentle waves ripple across their surfaces, reflecting the sky in shimmering patterns. Beneath them lies a world more mysterious than any landscape on land. Trenches deeper than mountains are tall, forests of coral, drifting tides, and life that glows softly in the darkness. The oceans control Earth's rhythm. They store heat from the sun and slowly release it, shaping climates, driving winds, and guiding storms. They connect continents, carrying water in a continuous cycle of evaporation, condensation, and rain. Without them, Earth would be dry, cracked, and silent. The colors of the oceans shift with the sun's angle: deep navy before dawn, soft turquoise in shallow regions, shimmering silver under bright sunlight. Yet beneath the waves lies a world untouched by daylight, a realm that remains in eternal night, filled with strange creatures that create their own glow. The oceans are Earth's heartbeat, slow, steady, powerful. They calm storms, shape winds, and hold the memory of countless generations of life. From space, they appear peaceful, but below, they are vast kingdoms of motion and mystery. As you look deeper into Earth's surface, the continents rise from the blue oceans like ancient monoliths. They stretch across the planet in vast shapes, each carved by millions of years of shifting stone, wind, water, and time. From above, they appear soft and muted, gentle greens, deep browns, pale deserts, mountain ridges dusted with snow. Their edges trace coastlines that curl and fold like delicate artwork. Some shores meet the oceans with smooth, sandy curves. Others rise sharply, forming cliffs that plunge straight into the waves below. These borders are constantly reshaped by tides, storms, and tectonic shifts. But from space, they seem peaceful, eternal, motionless. As your perspective glides closer, you notice more detail. Endless forests cover vast stretches of land, their tops forming a dark, textured surface that breathes with the wind. Mountains pierce through the atmosphere, their peaks glowing faintly in the sun's light. Valleys weave between them like gentle rivers of shadow. Deserts glow with quiet heat, their sands rippling in patterns shaped by centuries of wind. They move slowly but constantly, dunes shifting, stretching, reforming. Their colors change with the angle of sunlight, from pale gold at dawn to burning orange at midday and silvery white under the moon. Then there are places where land meets ice, bright, gleaming expanses of white that hold ancient secrets frozen within them. These icy regions reflect sunlight so intensely that they give Earth its shimmering brilliance when seen from afar. Every continent, no matter its shape or climate, contributes to the planet's balance. Forests breathe oxygen into the air. Oceans carry moisture inland. Mountains redirect winds, and deserts regulate temperature through their vast heat exchange. From space, the continents appear silent, but on their surfaces, life whispers through every tree, every river, every shift of Earth beneath the sky. As Earth continues its steady rotation, an eternal cycle unfolds. Day and night, light and shadow, warmth and coolness. From space, you can see the dividing line between day and night stretch across the planet like a glowing ribbon. This line is called the Terminator, and it moves slowly, painting the world below with shifting light. On one side, daylight reveals the full palette of Earth's colors. Oceans gleam with blue fire, continents glow in gentle hues, and clouds cast soft shadows that glide across the surface. The air warms, plants awaken, and winds begin to travel, carrying energy around the globe. On the other side, night brings a quiet peace. Darkness settles over the land, cooling it. The oceans absorb the remaining warmth of the day. Clouds become pale, ghost-like shapes drifting against the moonlit surface. And if you look closely, far below, across the continents, small clusters of lights flicker in the darkness. They shimmer softly, like tiny constellations resting on land. These lights are signs of life, of warmth, of human presence, scattered gently across the globe. The cycle repeats endlessly. Every sunrise is a beginning. Every sunset is a moment of rest. As Earth spins, the tilt of its axis creates seasons. Longer days in summer, shorter days in winter. Shifting temperatures, migrating winds. These changes shape the landscapes, stir the oceans, and guide countless living beings. This rhythm of light and dark defines Earth in a way no other planet shares. It is a world where night comforts and day nourishes. A world where time is measured not by silence, but by the gentle heartbeat of its rotation. As you watch Earth from above, a realization settles softly within you. This planet is alive in a way no other world in the solar system is. Life here does not exist in one form or in one region. It spreads across continents, the deepest oceans, the highest mountains, the frozen poles, the warm tropics, the vast deserts, and the thick forests. It moves, grows, breathes, and evolves. Forests pulse with quiet energy as countless plants create oxygen, shaping the air itself. Their roots weave through the soil, holding the land together. Their leaves absorb sunlight, turning it into life. Insects hum briefly through the air. Birds soar on invisible winds. Tiny seeds wait beneath the ground for rain. Oceans cradle entire kingdoms of life. Fish gliding through shifting currents. Plankton drifting like microscopic stars. And creatures in the depths glowing blue and purple in the darkness. These waters connect every distant shore, carrying nutrients and memories from place to place. On the land, life adapts to every environment. In the frozen poles, creatures endure cold with fur, fat, and instinct. In deserts, plants store water silently beneath the sand. In mountains, animals climb steep cliffs, shaped by thin air and cold winds. And throughout all of this, Earth's atmosphere, oceans, and sunlight work in harmony. Life creates balance, and balance creates life. This delicate cycle is ancient, older than continents, older than mountains, older than the shape of the world itself. As you continue to drift above this living planet, you sense something rare and precious, a harmony that exists nowhere else in the solar system, a world that breathes, listens, and remembers. Earth is not only a planet, it is an ecosystem woven together by the smallest organisms and the mightiest forces of nature. It is life, expressed in infinite forms.
And then, as you lift your gaze beyond Earth, you notice a companion moving quietly beside it, a pale, gentle sphere drifting through the darkness. The Moon, Earth's silent partner, its guardian, its storyteller. From this distance, the Moon glows softly, illuminated by sunlight reflected from its dusty surface. Its craters form ancient patterns, shaped by impacts older than any life on Earth. Its mountains rise like frozen waves, untouched for billions of years. It has no air, no wind, no sound, only stillness. Yet despite its silence, the Moon holds a profound influence over Earth. It controls the tides, pulling on the oceans and guiding their rhythmic rise and fall. These tides shape coastlines, nurture marine life, and drive currents that carry energy across the planet. It stabilizes Earth's tilt, keeping seasons predictable, temperatures balanced, and climate steady through time. Without the Moon, Earth would wobble unpredictably, storms would shift wildly, and life would face constant instability. Night after night, it lights up the darkness. Sometimes it glows faintly, a thin silver crescent. Other times it becomes a radiant disk, glowing with white fire. Its phases mark the passing of time, connecting ancient civilizations, animals, oceans, and modern life in a timeless rhythm. As you watch the Moon orbit Earth, you feel their connection, a celestial dance that has lasted 4.5 billion years. Two worlds bound by gravity, by motion, by history. The Moon is not just a satellite. It is Earth's companion spirit, a quiet light in the cosmic night. And together, they drift through space, moving as one.
Far from Earth's calm blues and gentle clouds, a different world awaits you. A world wrapped in quiet dust, glowing softly beneath the sun's fading rays. As you travel outward through the solar system, you notice a faint red shimmer forming in the distance. It does not shine like Venus, nor does it pulse with life like Earth. Instead, it glows with a muted, ancient warmth, like embers resting beneath layers of ash. The closer you drift, the more the planet transforms. Its color deepens into a rusty shade, earthy and warm, a reminder of iron-rich sands that blanket its surface. From afar, it seems peaceful, still, silent, untouched. But as the disk grows larger, you feel something stirring beneath its quiet exterior. A sense of longing, of memories carried by winds that have swept across barren plains for billions of years. This world is cold, dry, thinly veiled by an atmosphere so delicate that sunlight passes through it without resistance. The sky here is not blue, but soft and pale, tinted with the very dust that covers its surface. The winds are whisper-like, carrying fine grains of sand that paint the horizon in tones of soft red and gold. You glide closer, observing the planet's geography unfold. Towering volcanoes, rising like giants frozen in time. Canyons deeper than anything on Earth, and plains stretching endlessly in all directions. But beneath all this dryness lies mystery, a sense that something once flowed here, shaped these valleys, carved these channels. Water, movement, perhaps even life in forms now lost to time. Only now, as you take in its quiet beauty, you allow its name to settle gently into your thoughts. Mars, the red planet, a world of silence, ancient winds, and forgotten rivers. It does not welcome you with warmth, but it invites you to listen. As you descend toward Mars, the first sensation is the thinness of the world, a feeling that the air, the pressure, even the warmth are almost absent. The atmosphere is a faint veil composed mostly of carbon dioxide, so light and fragile that it seems to slip through your fingers. Sunlight reaches the surface with little scattering, creating sharp shadows and bright highlights that paint the landscape with a stark, quiet clarity. The sky above shifts in shades of dusty peach and pale orange, its colors determined by the fine grains of iron-rich particles suspended in the air. At dawn and dusk, the horizon glows with soft blue light, an eerie reversal of Earth's colors caused by sunlight scattering differently through the Martian dust. Winds sweep across open plains, slow yet persistent, carrying sand that drifts like mist. These sands coat everything: rocks, dunes, craters, valleys. Over time, they create a world uniform in tone, but rich in texture. The dust is ancient, older than Earth's continents, shaped by storms that can grow large enough to cover the entire planet for weeks. During such storms, Mars becomes a swirling sphere of soft red haze, hiding its surface beneath a blanket of shifting particles. Yet even then, the atmosphere remains thin, so thin that it cannot hold heat. Temperatures plummet rapidly after sunset, leaving the land frozen, silent, and still. Above you, Phobos and Deimos, Mars's tiny moons, drift quietly through the pale sky, Their shapes are irregular, their motions fast, like two small stones pulled endlessly around their lonely companion. In this fragile atmosphere, every sound would be faint, every movement slow. And yet there is a gentle beauty in this quiet world, a beauty shaped not by life, but by time, dust, and the patience of a planet that has learned to endure.
As you descend further, Mars unfolds like a canvas painted with the bold strokes of ancient forces. The surface tells a story written in stone, frozen lava, and layers of sediment shaped by water long vanished. To the west rises Olympus Mons, the tallest volcano in the entire solar system. It stands nearly 3 times the height of Mount Everest, yet its slopes are gentle, stretching outward for hundreds of kilometers. From above, it appears as a massive shield, its summit flattening into a wide plateau, as if the planet itself is exhaling slowly into the sky. Far to the east lies Valles Marineris, a canyon complex so vast that it could stretch from one coast of North America to the other. Its walls plunge downward for kilometers, revealing layers of rock that record the planet's entire geological history. When sunlight falls across these cliffs, shadows cascade into the valleys, creating patterns of darkness and light that shift with every passing hour. Between these giants lie plains covered with dust, fields of boulders tossed across the land by meteor impacts, and dunes shaped by the persistent Martian winds. Some dunes ripple in long, smooth lines, while others gather in tight clusters, forming patterns like waves frozen in time. It is a world sculpted by extremes, massive volcanoes, towering cliffs, endless plains, and craters that mark the surface like silent memories of the cosmos beyond. Yet despite the vastness and severity of this terrain, the silence feels gentle. There is no sound of water, no whisper of forests, no rustle of leaves. Only the quiet breathing of a planet shaped entirely by wind, stone, and time. Mars reveals its beauty not through abundance, but through endurance.
As you glide above the Martian surface, the shapes of ancient riverbeds begin to emerge. Long, winding paths carved into the land, branching like the veins of a forgotten organism. Though dry and silent, these channels reveal a truth that changes the way you see the planet. Water once moved here. Billions of years ago, Mars was warmer, wetter, and more dynamic. Oceans may have stretched across its northern plains, while lakes filled craters and rivers flowed between valleys. The patterns left behind are unmistakable. Rounded pebbles smoothed by flowing water, sediment layers laid down by ancient currents, and minerals that form only in the presence of liquid. You follow a dry riverbed that curves gently across a vast plateau. Its edges are soft, shaped by erosion over unimaginable spans of time. Once water may have rushed through it with force, carving deeper with each passing season. Now it remains as a quiet scar upon the landscape. Craters that once held lakes still show the outlines of ancient shorelines. Some even contain deltas, structures built by sediment carried in flowing water, settling layer by layer in the calm of still basins. The evidence lies everywhere, in the erosion patterns, in the mineral deposits, in the frozen remnants of ice beneath the surface. Mars remembers its past, even if it cannot restore it. The water is now locked in polar ice caps or hidden beneath layers of dust and rock, preserved like a secret, waiting patiently for discovery. And as you observe these relics of ancient waters, you feel a quiet sense of longing. Mars once carried rivers. It once touched lakes with sunlight. It once held the warmth of flowing water. And now it dreams in silence.
Mars rotates at almost the same speed as Earth, giving it days only slightly longer than our own. And like Earth, Mars is tilted on its axis, creating seasons, though colder, harsher, and far more subtle. During daylight, sunlight warms the surface just enough to create a fragile comfort. But as soon as night falls, the heat escapes rapidly through the thin atmosphere, causing temperatures to drop dramatically. Winters near the poles become so cold that carbon dioxide freezes out of the air, forming layers of dry ice that expand and contract with the seasons. Dust storms form frequently, swirling across plains and dancing around craters. Some are small, lasting only hours. Others grow into planet-wide storms, engulfing Mars in a hazy blanket of red dust for weeks at a time. Despite their size, these storms move softly. The thin air cannot carry the force of Earth's winds, making even the greatest storms feel more like a whisper than a roar. Frost forms during the night, coating rocks with a thin layer of ice that glistens under the morning light before vaporizing into the air. Along the slopes of craters, the frost gathers in delicate patterns, painting the land in pale lace before disappearing. Seasons change slowly here. Spring releases trapped gases into the air. Summer warms the dunes and deepens their colors. Autumn brings long shadows and cold winds. Winter encases the poles in bright white layers of frozen carbon dioxide. Mars breathes in its own way, slowly, quietly, with the rhythm of a world shaped not by life, but by the patience of time and the persistence of the elements.
Lift your gaze above the Martian horizon, and two small companions drift into view. Worlds so tiny and irregular that they look more like wandering stones than moons. Phobos circles Mars closely, racing across the sky in only a few hours. It appears large when seen from the surface, casting shadows as it moves swiftly overhead. Scarred with craters and grooves, it seems fragile, as though one strong impact could shatter it into dust. Scientists believe it may one day break apart, forming a thin ring around the planet before slowly raining down onto the surface. Deimos, smaller and more distant, drifts gracefully in the opposite direction. Its motion is slow, soft, almost dreamlike. From Mars, it appears as a faint speck of light, a quiet companion watching from afar. These moons were likely captured asteroids long ago, pulled into orbit by Mars's gentle gravity. Because of this, they carry the rugged shapes of rocks untouched by internal forces. No atmosphere surrounds them. No sound exists on their surfaces. They are silent witnesses to the planet below. Phobos is only about 22 kilometers wide. Deimos just 12. Yet their presence adds a unique rhythm to the Martian sky. Sunsets tinted with soft blue are joined by the swift transit of Phobos. Quiet nights are watched over by the distant glow of Deimos. Together, they create a harmony. Two small echoes of Mars's ancient past, drifting endlessly in a dance shaped by gravity and time.
As you rise above Mars, leaving behind its vast deserts and silent canyons, a sense of calm washes over you. This world is not loud, not vibrant, not overflowing with life. Instead, its beauty lies in its stillness, in the way it has endured, unchanged, yet full of memory. Mars feels like a world paused in time, a world that once held oceans, storms, rivers, and warmth. A world that now slumbers beneath cold winds and quiet skies. Its red sands glow softly beneath the sun, like embers holding on to the last traces of ancient fire. Every dune, every crater, every valley whispers the same story of what once was and what might one day be again. Mars reminds you of a distant past and an uncertain future. It is a planet both lonely and hopeful, a world waiting. As you drift farther away, the planet shrinks into a small red sphere, suspended in the vast blackness of space. Its faint glow remains visible long after details fade. It lingers like a quiet thought in your mind. Ahead of you lies the next step in your journey, a world larger, colder, wrapped in layers of clouds and storms, hiding mysteries deeper than Mars's valleys and older than its mountains. You turn toward the outer solar system, toward Jupiter, carrying with you the silence and the beauty of the red planet.
A gentle vibration travels through the emptiness, as if distant thunder were rolling somewhere ahead of you, muffled by the endless vacuum. It is not a sound, not truly, but more like a presence, a ripple in the quiet, a reminder that something enormous is waiting in the dark. As you drift forward, the darkness slowly begins to glow with soft bands of color. First the faintest beige, then a muted orange, then deeper tones of rust and amber. These colors do not appear suddenly. They emerge like dawn rising slowly through layers of mist. And then, almost without warning, the entire horizon begins to curve. At first, you think it must be a trick of perspective, some illusion created by light bending across distance. But then the curve expands, stretching wider and wider until it becomes unmistakable. You are no longer approaching a planet. You are approaching a world so vast it feels like an entire realm unto itself. The bands of color swirl like brushstrokes painted across a living canvas, moving in slow, powerful waves. The atmosphere is not calm. It shifts, flows, coils and uncoils, as if the planet is a giant breathing beneath layers of clouds. No sharp edges, no land, no mountains, just endless rolling storms, storms that have been raging for centuries, older than civilization on Earth. This immense body glows with reflected sunlight, almost warm despite its unimaginable distance from the sun. And in that glow, in those moving bands, you sense the personality of Jupiter long before you speak its name. The largest planet in the solar system, the ancient guardian, the giant whose gravity shapes destinies of worlds around it. As you drift closer, the colors deepen and the motion becomes clearer. The clouds do not simply move, they dance, pulling one another in spirals, fractures, curls, and ribbons. Jupiter is not a solid place. It is a symphony of storms.
As you approach the upper layers of Jupiter's atmosphere, the planet fills your field of view until there is nothing else left. The gentle bands you saw from afar now stretch into monumental rivers of gas, each one thousands of kilometers wide, flowing endlessly around the planet like colossal streams circling a sphere of storms. The colors shift subtly, blending into one another as if mixed by the slow hand of time. Cream dissolves into gold, gold melts into terracotta, terracotta softens into warm gray. Each layer moves at its own speed, some fast enough to circle the entire planet in a few days, others drifting far more slowly, almost hesitant, as if burdened by their own density. You begin to understand something extraordinary. Jupiter's atmosphere is not merely air, it is a layered ocean of gas, each stratum shaped by temperature, pressure, and the unseen currents beneath. As you watch, a massive, churning structure forms beneath you, slowly rising through the haze like the crest of a wave. It is one of Jupiter's countless storms, but even the smallest of these storms would dwarf continents on Earth. They boil upward, then sink again, fading into the deeper layers where sunlight never reaches. Jupiter is alive with motion, but it is not the frantic motion of chaos. It is slow, deliberate, ancient. A world sculpted by winds stronger than anything the inner planets have ever known. Winds that roar at hundreds of kilometers per hour, carving out cloud belts and bright zones that have remained for centuries. As you drift over these atmospheric oceans, you feel a strange sense of scale wash over you, a reminder that Jupiter is not just large,
It is vast beyond comprehension. More than 1,000 Earths could fit inside its volume, disappearing without leaving the slightest mark. And yet, despite this imaginable immensity, it moves with a softness that feels almost comforting. A rhythm that lulls the mind. A pulse that seems to echo through space. Here, floating above the layers of gas, you realize the truth. Jupiter is not merely a planet, it is a celestial titan, shaping the architecture of the solar system with nothing more than its gravity and its storms.
Before you can descend deeper, something on the horizon catches your eye. A shape so iconic, so immense that it almost doesn't seem real. A vast oval, swirling in hues of deep red and pale orange, rotating slowly like a cosmic hurricane frozen in time. The Great Red Spot. A storm so large it could swallow Earth whole twice. A storm that has raged for at least 350 years, and perhaps even longer, older than the oldest telescope that first recorded it. As you drift closer, its scale becomes more overwhelming. It stretches wider than the distance from New York to Beijing, and its swirling edges rise higher than the tallest mountains on Earth. But Jupiter has no mountains, just storms upon storms. The Great Red Spot is not violent in appearance from this height. Strangely, it moves with a calm, majestic slowness, like a massive wheel turning on a cosmic axis. Gases spiral inward, then curl outward again in complex patterns that feel almost hypnotic. It is impossible to look away. The storm's color palette is soft despite its size, not a harsh red, but warm clay tones, peach, rose, muted brick. These shades shift with sunlight, evolving gently across decades, as if the storm itself remembers its own history. You drift along its edge, observing the finely layered turbulence around it. Clouds twist and stretch, merging into long tendrils before vanishing beneath deeper layers of the atmosphere. There is a surprising elegance here, a dance of forces far greater than anything on Earth. And as you watch this ancient storm turning endlessly, you begin to understand something deeper. Jupiter is the keeper of time. Its storms record centuries. Its atmosphere preserves motion older than nations. Its winds are archives of the solar system's past. The Great Red Spot is not merely a storm, it is a monument, a living relic.
Not all storms on Jupiter are as ancient as the Great Red Spot, yet each carries its own story, its own identity. As you continue drifting along the southern belts, smaller oval storms appear. White ovals, brown ovals, each one a swirling mass of gas, capable of engulfing entire landscapes if they existed below. They form, merge, dissipate, and reappear over time,
giving Jupiter an atmosphere that is constantly reinventing itself. The deeper you go, the more the colors intensify. Below the upper clouds lie darker layers, where sunlight fades into amber twilight. These lower layers churn with ammonia, water vapor, and complex molecules sculpted by pressure conditions far beyond anything on Earth. It is here, in this layered world of gases, that lightning forms. Not gentle flashes, but bolts so powerful they illuminate entire cloud systems, striking downward into unknown depths. These lightning storms dwarf even the mightiest thunderstorms on Earth, releasing energy on a scale that leaves you silent in awe. And yet, even in this restless environment, there is a profound calmness, as if Jupiter is so immense that no storm, no matter how large, can ever disturb its balance. There is no ground below, only layer after layer of compressed gas, stretching deeper and deeper until the atmosphere transitions into something stranger, liquid metallic hydrogen, swirling like an ocean of electric current around the planet's core. This ocean generates Jupiter's immense magnetic field, the strongest of any planet in the solar system. You realize you are drifting above one of the most powerful natural machines in existence, a world where storms and magnetism intertwine, shaping the space around it. Jupiter is the heart of gravity and storms, pumping influence through the solar system like a silent titan.
As monumental as Jupiter is, its story is incomplete without the world that orbits around it, the kingdom of moons unlike anything else in the solar system. The first to reveal themselves are the four largest, the Galilean moons. They appear like a string of pearls gliding across darkness, each one a world of its own. The first is Io, a tortured volcanic body, constantly reshaped by Jupiter's gravity. Though you are still far away, you sense its heat, its restlessness, its volcanic plumes that rise hundreds of kilometers high. Next comes Europa, pale, icy, smooth like polished marble. Its silence hides the possibility of oceans beneath its frozen crust, oceans warmed by internal energy, oceans that may harbor the most tantalizing possibility in the universe: life. Then Ganymede, the largest moon in the solar system, larger even than Mercury, a world of icy plains and dark terrains scarred by ancient geological processes that hint at a history as rich as any planet's. And finally, Callisto, the quiet elder, heavily cratered and ancient, a fossil of the solar system's earliest epochs, untouched by internal activity for billions of years. These moons move in perfect rhythm, locked by gravity in an elegant dance around the giant gas giant. They pull on one another, alter one another's orbits, and create tidal forces so strong they reshape their own surfaces. Jupiter is not a planet with moons. Jupiter is a solar system in miniature.
a vast central world surrounded by a family of diverse, dynamic companions, each one shaped by the giant's immense power.
As you drift farther from the cloud tops, the sheer scale of Jupiter's influence becomes even clearer. Its gravity shapes not only its moons, but also the paths of comets, asteroids, and countless smaller bodies. It acts as a cosmic shield for the inner planets, pulling dangerous objects into its orbit or casting them harmlessly away into the darkness. This protective role has been ongoing for billions of years. Without Jupiter, Earth's history might have been far more violent, frequently struck by objects that could disrupt climate, oceans, or even the emergence of life. Jupiter, in its quiet, massive way, has been our unseen guardian all along, a silent watcher on the outskirts, ensuring stability through its sheer presence. But Jupiter's influence extends even farther. Its magnetic field is so immense that it creates a vast magnetosphere, stretching millions of kilometers into space. Any spacecraft entering this region would be bathed in radiation far beyond safe limits. This invisible envelope ripples with charged particles captured from the solar wind and from the volcanic emissions of Io. If you could see this magnetic field, it would resemble a glowing bubble surrounding the planet, shimmering, shifting, alive. And through it all, Jupiter continues to spin with incredible speed. Despite its massive size, it completes one rotation in just about 10 hours, giving it the fastest day of any planet in the solar system. This rapid rotation stretches its atmosphere into bands, amplifies its storms, and shapes its very geography of gas. Jupiter is enormous yet swift, ancient yet dynamic, violent yet protective, a paradox woven into gas and gravity. As you slowly begin to drift away from Jupiter, the colors fade into the distance and the storms shrink into swirling patterns across a vast, glowing disk. The great red spot becomes a soft, muted oval, and the bands blend into one gentle palette of amber and cream. The Galilean moons retreat into delicate dots, each following its orbit with perfect grace, continuing their eternal dance around the giant. Your distance grows, but Jupiter remains immense. A world so large it refuses to disappear quickly. Even far away, it commands the scene, holding on to light, radiance, and movement longer than any world before it. And in this retreat, you feel something unexpected, a sense of calm. Despite its storms, despite its lightning, despite its violent depths, Jupiter radiates a profound stillness from afar. It feels like a guardian standing watch over the solar system, anchored in its position, unshakable, eternal. You carry the memory of its swirling clouds, its ancient storm, its vast family of moons, and its deep, restless heart. Ahead of you, the darkness of space stretches onward. Beyond it waits the next world, another story, another realm.
but Jupiter remains behind you, a glowing titan, a cosmic protector, a giant whose presence will be felt long after you drift into the deeper night.
Before the planet reveals itself, you notice something far more delicate. A thin, pale line stretching across the darkness, so faint it could easily be mistaken for a trick of the eye. At first, it seems too perfect, too straight, almost like a crack in space itself. But as you drift closer, the line begins to curve. It bends gracefully, forming an elegant arc that expands with every passing moment. And then it happens. The arc becomes a ring. The ring becomes a system. And the system becomes a luminous halo encircling a distant sphere. Saturn does not appear suddenly. It materializes gently, as though emerging from a dream. The planet itself glows softly, dressed in muted tones of cream, pale gold, and quiet amber. Its bands are delicate compared to Jupiter's violent storms, thinner, smoother, more refined. They drift around the planet with the calmness of slow-moving clouds at dawn. But despite Saturn's size, your eyes are drawn elsewhere, to the rings, the most ethereal structure in the solar system. They stretch outward in perfect symmetry, wider than the distance from Earth to the Moon, yet only as thin as a few meters in some places. When sunlight strikes them, they shimmer like cosmic silk, scattering light into the surrounding darkness in a soft, dreamlike glow. From afar, you cannot see their texture, only their radiance. But you know what they truly are. Billions of icy particles, each reflecting sunlight like tiny mirrors, frozen fragments of comets, moons, and ancient debris sculpted by gravity over millions of years. As you glide closer, the rings widen, becoming a vast celestial canvas. They appear solid, like a perfect polished disk. Yet you know they are made of infinite pieces, each orbiting the planet with exquisite precision. Saturn floats quietly beneath them, suspended in the blackness, a world defined not by storms or chaos, but by elegance, by symmetry, by stillness. For the first time in your journey, you feel as if you are approaching a work of art rather than a planet. Saturn is a masterpiece carved by time.
As you drift into the shadowed side of Saturn, the rings transform dramatically. No longer bright and reflective, they become dark, translucent ribbons, appearing almost like smoke suspended in space. Sunlight from behind them creates razor-thin highlights along their edges, faint, gentle strokes of silver cutting through the black. Saturn's atmosphere also changes in the dim light. Its soft colors deepen, turning into shades of muted caramel and dusk gray. Narrow cloud bands circle the planet, but unlike Jupiter's fierce belts, Saturn's bands appear smooth and silky, as though brushed by an unseen hand.
The upper atmosphere feels calm, serene, almost too quiet for a gas giant of this size. But this quietness is deceptive. Beneath the calm facade lies a world of extreme winds, faster than any other planet except Neptune. They race around the planet at incredible speeds, sculpting the atmospheric layers into perfect horizontal stripes. And as you watch, you notice something strange on the northern hemisphere, a geometric shape emerging from the clouds. A hexagon, sharp-edged, massive, rotating. A six-sided storm larger than Earth itself, spinning endlessly at Saturn's North Pole. Its symmetry is so precise that it seems artificial, as if crafted by something with purpose. No other planet has anything like it, a persistent atmospheric shape that defies intuition, forming a cosmic symbol etched in storm winds. You drift above the hexagon, watching its edges rotate with hypnotic patience. It feels ancient, primordial, like a signature written by Saturn itself. And the rings, ever present, cast faint shadows across the planet's surface, creating long curved patterns that glide slowly as Saturn turns. Everything about Saturn is graceful, even its storms. The world below you feels like a planet made of atmosphere and geometry, elegance and power, calmness and hidden fury. It is unlike anything you have seen.
The rings grow larger as you approach them directly. What looked like a single sweeping structure from afar now splits into countless lines, braided together in parallel arcs that circle the planet with mathematical precision. Each ring has its own identity, some bright and dense, others faint and nearly transparent. Some appear solid, while others are so thin that starlight passes through them effortlessly. You glide closer, expecting to find solid surfaces or sheets of ice, but instead you encounter motion, endless motion. Tiny fragments of ice tumble and rotate in quiet orbits, glistening with distant reflections. Many are no larger than pebbles, while others rival small boulders. They drift past one another silently, obeying a perfect choreography dictated only by gravity. There is no chaos here. Every particle follows its path flawlessly. The closer you move, the more surreal the view becomes. Sunlight scatters through the ice fragments, creating pillars of light, shimmering beams, and delicate halos. Shadows stretch across the rings like soft, dark lines painted onto a glowing canvas. You realize that you are drifting through the most fragile and beautiful structure in the solar system, a place where the colossal and the delicate coexist. The rings are thin, impossibly thin considering their vast width. In some regions, they are only a few meters thick, a whisper of ice floating in the void. Yet they span hundreds of thousands of kilometers, forming a cosmic disk that could fit nearly a dozen Earths laid side by side. They are ancient, but also temporary, a structure that may one day fade away as particles collide, scatter, or fall into Saturn's gravity well. What you see might not exist in the distant future. This beauty is fleeting on cosmic timescales. You glide through a beam of light and watch as it refracts off ice crystals into pale rainbows. Saturn's rings do not simply orbit the planet, they illuminate it. Beyond the magnificent rings lies a collection of moons, a kingdom of icy worlds, each shaped in part by Saturn's immense gravity and haunting beauty. The first to appear is Titan, Saturn's giant, nearly as large as Ganymede, larger than Mercury. But Titan is nothing like the frozen worlds of Jupiter. Titan wears a thick orange haze, a dense atmosphere that hides its surface entirely. Drifting closer feels like descending toward an alien world shrouded in fog. Its skies are heavy with hydrocarbons, and beneath its smog lies a landscape carved by rivers, not of water, but of liquid methane and ethane. Lakes, seas, and coastlines stretch across the surface, reflecting faint light in a mirror-like stillness. Titan is one of the few places in the solar system with weather, rainfall, and fluid-shaped terrain. It is eerily Earth-like in structure, yet profoundly alien in composition. As you pass over the upper atmosphere, you sense the cold, a cold so deep it feels ancient, like a memory of the solar system before warmth ever existed. Titan's orange mist glows softly, as though illuminated by a lantern hidden beneath clouds. And then, another moon enters your view, Enceladus. Smaller, brighter, wrapped in pure ice. From its south pole, geysers of water vapor erupt into space, forming tall, ghostly plumes that scatter sunlight like faint, icy fireworks. These plumes feed one of Saturn's faintest rings, creating a delicate feedback loop between moon and planet. Titan is mysterious. Enceladus is hopeful. And together, they form the heart of Saturn's family.
As you move deeper into Saturn's moon system, new worlds emerge, each one small, strange, and utterly unforgettable. There is Iapetus, a moon divided in two. One hemisphere as dark as coal, the other as bright as fresh snow. The contrast is so stark that it looks like a world painted in opposing halves, a cosmic yin and yang drifting silently along its orbit. Then Mimas, tiny and heavily cratered, bearing a massive impact basin that gives it an uncanny resemblance to a familiar space station, though in truth it is nothing but a battered relic of ancient collisions. Next is Tethys, glimmering like a polished pearl, with a deep canyon slicing across its surface, and Dione, shadowed and scarred, but wrapped in a subtle luminescence from the icy particles that flow through Saturn's magnetosphere. Each moon carries its own climate, geology, and history, like a miniature museum of the early solar system. But one world stands out,
Hyperion. It does not rotate normally. It tumbles chaotically, unpredictably, like a leaf caught in a swirling wind. Its shape is irregular, its surface porous, full of sponge-like craters that cast long, eerie shadows. As you glide past Hyperion, you sense something uncanny, the feeling of a world that has never found balance, a body forever drifting between order and randomness, shaped only by the forces surrounding it. Saturn's moons are not uniform. They are not symmetrical. They are a collection of stories carved in ice, dust, and ancient fractures. And all of them orbit a planet, so elegant it seems like a painting. Saturn reigns quietly at the center, and its moons form a kingdom of wonders.
As you slowly begin to drift away from Saturn, the planet rotates gently beneath its luminous rings, offering one last breathtaking display of symmetry. The soft golden light reflects off the icy arcs, making them glow like halos suspended in the silence of space. The moons grow smaller behind you, Titan wrapped in haze, Enceladus with its icy plumes, the scattered pearls of Tethys, Dione, Rhea, Mimas, and the mysterious half-shadowed Iapetus. They retreat into the distance, each returning to its eternal orbit around their quiet giant. Saturn itself becomes a smooth, glowing sphere wrapped in its delicate jewelry. The rings fade into thin, glimmering lines. The shadows blend softly along the curve of the planet. For a moment, there is no movement, no storms, no violence, just tranquility. You feel as though you are leaving behind a place designed for contemplation, a realm of motion so gentle, so refined, that it calms even the restless spirit of space itself. The elegance of Saturn remains with you as you drift farther into the dark, remembering the perfection of its rings, the quiet geometry of its storms, and the frozen beauty of its moons. And somewhere ahead, beyond the dim horizon, another world waits. But Saturn stays behind as the solar system's great artist, a master of symmetry, serenity, and soft cosmic light. In the quiet outskirts of the solar system, far beyond the warmth that bathes the inner worlds, you drift toward a planet that feels unlike any you have encountered before. It does not roar with storms like Jupiter, nor does it glow with golden majesty like Saturn. Instead, this world waits in silence, cool, calm, almost shy in its distant orbit. From afar, Uranus appears as a gentle sphere of pale blue-green, softly illuminated by the distant sun. Its color is subtle, muted, like the calm surface of a frozen lake touched by dawn. There are no sharp features to greet you, no dramatic storms stretching across its surface. The planet looks peaceful, wrapped in a stillness that feels almost otherworldly. Its distance from the sun is immense, nearly 3 billion kilometers. At such a distance, sunlight becomes a soft whisper,
providing only faint warmth. And yet, Uranus maintains its own quiet glow, shaped by the gases within its atmosphere. Hydrogen, helium, and methane create its delicate color, scattering light in ways that make it appear dreamlike, almost ethereal. One of the most unusual things about Uranus is the way it moves. Unlike all other planets, which rotate upright or with slight tilts, Uranus is turned almost completely on its side. It spins like a rolling ball, its poles facing the sun for long stretches of time. This tilt creates seasons unlike any others, long, slow transitions lasting decades, with one hemisphere bathing in sunlight while the other lies in darkness. Yet, despite this strange posture, the planet feels gentle. It does not announce its uniqueness loudly. It simply drifts through space, quiet and distant, carrying secrets in its pale glow. As you approach, a faint haze becomes visible, a thin atmosphere veiling the deeper layers of the planet. It is cold here, unimaginably cold, with temperatures that drop lower than anywhere else in the solar system. But this coldness is not harsh. It is peaceful, serene, like stepping into a place where time slows and even the wind sleeps. You are entering the world of Uranus, a planet of calm, silence, and soft blue light. As you drift closer to Uranus, the simplicity of its appearance becomes even more enchanting. Unlike Jupiter's swirling storms or Saturn's dynamic cloud bands, the atmosphere of Uranus looks smooth, almost featureless. But beneath this softness lies a complex world shaped by cold, pressure, and chemistry. The upper atmosphere is composed primarily of hydrogen and helium, with a touch of methane that gives Uranus its distinct color. Sunlight, faint as it is, interacts with this methane, scattering blue and green hues across the planet. The effect is tranquil, soothing to the eye, almost hypnotic. But as you imagine descending deeper, the calm surface gives way to a hidden intensity. The atmosphere thickens, turning darker and denser. The pressure increases until it becomes unimaginable, crushing any material that enters. Temperatures drop to extremes, colder than any recorded on Jupiter, Saturn, or even distant Neptune. Uranus is one of the coldest places in the entire solar system, a world near absolute stillness. Scientists believe that beneath the thick atmosphere lies an icy mantle, a deep layer of water, ammonia, and methane, kept in a strange, high-pressure form. It is neither liquid nor solid as you would know them. It is a world of exotic ices, glowing faintly as pressure squeezes them into forms unseen anywhere on Earth. Deeper still, there may be a rocky core surrounded by these ices, generating a magnetic field that is off-center and oddly tilted, just like the planet itself. Everything about Uranus is unconventional. Its rotation, its seasons, its structure, its magnetic field. And yet, all these oddities combine into a harmonious whole. In the silence of this distant world, you sense a profound stillness, like the pause between breaths, The cold here is not empty, it is peaceful. It is time suspended.
Though often overlooked, Uranus does have rings, faint, narrow, and far more subtle than Saturn's grand structures. As you shift your viewpoint, small delicate lines appear around the planet, thin and dark, like strokes of ink drawn lightly across the sky. These rings are composed of icy particles and dark material, almost invisible unless illuminated at just the right angle by the distant sun. They add to the planet's quiet elegance, encircling it with a soft, understated beauty. Farther out, a family of moons orbits Uranus, at least 27 discovered so far. Many of them carry names from Shakespearean characters, creating a sense of poetry around the planet. Miranda, with its cliffs and fractured surface. Ariel, bright and smooth. Umbriel, dark and mysterious. Titania and Oberon, large and distant, orbiting like ancient guardians. Each moon reflects a different personality, a different history, shaped by icy surfaces, impacts, and internal forces. Some appear cracked and sculpted by ancient geological activity. Others remain untouched, frozen in time. And all of them move through an environment shaped by Uranus's unusual tilt. Their orbits are like rings turned on their sides, circling the planet vertically rather than horizontally. This gives the system an almost surreal appearance, like a cosmic wheel rolling silently through space. As you drift farther out, the sun becomes no more than a bright star, small and distant. The warmth you once felt near the inner planets is only a memory now. Uranus travels slowly along its long orbit, taking 84 Earth years to complete one journey around the sun. Seasons last decades. Sunrises and sunsets are rare events at the poles. Yet in this quiet, distant world, there is beauty, subtle, soft, and serene, the kind of beauty that doesn't demand your attention, but gently invites you to pause and breathe and simply exist in the stillness. This is Uranus, the pale, tilted dream drifting through the outer dark. At the far edge of the solar system, where sunlight fades into a cold twilight, you approach a world wrapped in deep sapphire blue. Neptune stands as the final giant before interstellar darkness begins. Its color is unlike anything you have seen. A rich, glowing indigo, as if the planet is holding the last warmth of the distant sun deep within its clouds. Though 4.5 billion kilometers from the sun, Neptune still pulses with energy. Its winds, the fastest in the solar system, race across the atmosphere with silent power, shaping dark storm bands and swirling patterns that appear and disappear like shifting shadows. From afar, the planet feels mysterious, ancient, calm, yet full of hidden motion. As you drift closer, the blue deepens, wrapping you in a strange, peaceful cold. This is Neptune, the quiet guardian of the outer frontier. The closer you drift, the more Neptune's atmosphere reveals its secrets. Though smooth from a distance, it is alive with subtle bands of clouds, faint white streaks, and deep shadows marking ancient storms.
The great dark spot, a swirling vortex the size of Earth, comes and goes over the years, appearing like a silent eye watching over the cold frontier. Temperatures here fall to breathtaking lows, colder than almost anywhere else, yet Neptune radiates more heat than it receives. Beneath the atmosphere, layers of icy water, ammonia, and methane swirl under immense pressure, forming an interior both exotic and violent. And yet, from above, it all appears peaceful, a soft blue sphere drifting through a sea of darkness.
Encircling Neptune are thin, delicate rings, faint arcs of dust and ice barely visible against the darkness. They shimmer only when the sunlight strikes them at just the right angle, forming ghostly outlines around the blue planet. Farther out, a family of moons orbits Neptune. The largest, Triton, moves in the opposite direction of Neptune's rotation, a rare and haunting motion. Triton's frozen surface hides geysers of nitrogen that spray into the thin atmosphere, making it one of the most mysterious moons in the solar system. From this distant place, the sun looks like a bright star, small and cold. Neptune takes 165 years to complete a single orbit. Time moves slowly here, and yet, in the deep cold and endless quiet, Neptune feels calm, a blue lantern glowing softly at the edge of the solar system.
At the dim edge of the solar system, where sunlight fades into a pale whisper, you approach a small icy world drifting silently through the dark. Pluto appears gentle compared to the giants you've passed. A tiny sphere of frozen nitrogen and pale mountains of ice glowing faintly under a distant sun no brighter than a star. Its surface looks quiet, carved by ancient glaciers and soft shadows. You sense a loneliness here, but not a sad one, more like the peaceful silence of a winter field untouched for centuries. Charon, its large moon, circles closely, the two worlds locked together in a slow, synchronized dance. Beyond Pluto lies the vast stretch of the Kuiper Belt, a drifting sea of icy objects, dwarf planets, and silent fragments left from the birth of the solar system. They move slowly, following ancient paths, like forgotten memories orbiting in the cold. Hundreds of thousands of frozen bodies shimmer faintly, each carrying secrets older than Earth itself. Farther still, far beyond the reach of any spacecraft sent so far, the solar system expands into the Oort cloud, a spherical halo of icy comets surrounding the sun like a distant crystal shell. It stretches almost a light year from the center, forming the true outer boundary of our cosmic home. Here, objects barely feel the sun's gravity, drifting in quiet suspension for millions of years. As you float in this distant region, the stars around you seem sharper, colder, brighter. The sun is only a point of light, but it is still your point of light, the anchor of every world you've visited. And for a moment, you feel the scale of it all, the smallness of planets, the vastness of distance, and the calm rhythm of worlds moving silently through time. Slowly, you begin to drift back inward, past the distant comets, past Pluto's frozen plains, past the blue giants and the warm inner worlds. Each planet becomes a memory, glowing softly against the dark. And as the sun grows brighter once more, you carry with you the quiet knowledge of the journey, that even in the vastest darkness there is structure, meaning, and gentle beauty, and that every world, no matter how distant, is part of the same silent, elegant dance. The solar system rests, steady and timeless, and you, floating in its light, rest with it.